Hello, and welcome to this presentation about how you can lose weight naturally. Even though you might have tried a lot of things in the past, I want to break this down so you understand where you might not have been getting success, where you thought you might have got success, or why something in the past may have worked and suddenly stopped working. It happens, particularly when women come into the 40s and 41, 42-year-old bracket. What might have worked in the 20s and 30s no longer works. And it's quite confusing, it's soul destroying, and you might not be too sure what your options are. So let's dive in and let's break this down. And look, I'm going to be really frank with you. I've been doing this for a long time. I've helped a lot of women with this issue, as well as, I'm a female. I've also had my issues around weight. And I know that the real cost of when weight goes on is that we start to get very self-conscious. We start to feel less than worthy, less than everything starts going sideways, and people will start using that as validation. And it's a very slippery slope once we start doing that. But as women, I think we're just hardwired to do it. So your confidence can go down. You might feel flat. I know over the years, I've had so many clients who jump on those scales in the morning. And depending on what those scales say, will depend on their mood for the day or dictate their mood for the day. It's a soul destroying path to get on, that's for sure. Motivation can suck, your body can feel like it's changed overnight. I totally get it. And if anyone has not reassured you before, you are not on your own. This happens to many, many people. In fact, over 65% of Australian adults are overweight or obese. Now, you might not relate to that figure because you're doing, you might be doing everything in your powers to stay on top of things, exercising, eating really well, and you still might not be able to get on top of this issue. So let's look at why that can happen, and let's look at why diets fail. Now, I've seen a lot of diets, a lot of eating plans, a lot of uh, fads, a lot of supplements over my 25 years in private practice. And I certainly can, with a lot of confidence, say that dieting doesn't work. Calorie restriction for some might have benefit, but as a long-term strategy also doesn't work. And if you've got any degree of stress going on, it's going to unstick every single plan that you have. And if you've got cravings, they need to be managed. And for a lot of people, they might have success short term with an eating plan or a restriction plan, but then the weight goes on. So it's just not about your willpower. That's sure, you do need willpower. You definitely need motivation. But long term, you're going to need a lot more than that. Now, in the presence of calorie restriction, our body slows your metabolism down. And what a lot of people say is they get more obsessed with food. So rather than feeling that, that feeling when you feel full, that your tummy's full, which is called satiety, instead they do the opposite thing where they crave food and it becomes this sometimes a very strong obsession. So what I believe we really want as women is a flat tummy. We want less bloat. We want energy. We want to feel vibrant. We want to feel current. We want to feel no brain fog, which can often go with weight. We want to feel attractive, attractive to ourselves firstly, but stemming from that, we want to feel attractive in our societies, in our communities that we move amongst. We want to be able to go out and not count calories. We want to be able to go out and have a glass of wine to enjoy food without feeling guilty. And once you stop obsessing about food, your life does change. That is for sure. So, how does this all happen? What does it look like sustainably? Is it possible? Because you might have lost a bit of confidence or hope around this. So, I'm going to share with you what I know works, what doesn't work, and see if I can help. I have been interviewed a lot over my time. I'll just play a little section of this. This was a few years ago when I was asked to come on as a nutritionist and published author speaking about diets. I'll just play a quick second of this.
A big survey conducted over 10 years, and they looked at the factors for people around about the age of 24 going into where a lot of weight can be gained, and studied them for 10 years. And they looked at the different factors that cause weight. So interesting, only 25% of people didn't gain weight.
So This was about Danish research that showed that dieting doesn't work. In fact, dieting had the opposite effect long term on what people were desiring, which is weight
So
loss.
a large percentage of
So
people gain weight during those.
just because of this knowledge that I have, tertiary trained, many, many years of experience, and I've published 10 books, I have had that privilege of being asked for my professional opinion. But I'm also a mum outside of my gig. Those are my three children down the bottom. And I have spent a lot of time in developing countries working with women, helping them with health, whether it's acute care, nursing, relief work, disaster relief. I've done a lot of that in my time. And I'm very passionate about people getting tools and resources so they can live their autonomous, healthy life. So these are just some of the TV interviews over the time. There's been over 30 different interviews that I've done, usually around hormones, health, eating patterns, female social commentary, how we're going. Now, why I think we're struggling more than ever before is because we have moved into the workplace at a big pace. Like we're now, trying to get the boardroom and the CEO and the chairwoman's positions. Now, with that comes a lot of push, a lot of extra work that we probably didn't need to do 30, 40 years ago if we're just going to be the admin assistant. So now we're eating when we're stressed. We might have poor sleep because our brains are engaged with work and we're really pushing, pushing, pushing. We are suffering hormone changes on a greater level than ever before. Busy schedules, we might have kids. We're trying to look like that woman out of the magazine that just has it all under control, but deep down we're paddling like a crazy little duck with our legs. We could be emotionally exhausted. We've also, if we're in a relationship or a partnership, got their needs to attend to. There's so many things, and the weight around the stomach is soul destroying. But a big clue to that one is it's likely cortisol, which is a stress hormone. More on that in a minute. Now, this, I see these triangles and they frustrate me. I did grow up with food actually. I grew up in an Italian household. Food was everything to us. But I also, from a very early age, started respecting food and the nutritional nourishment value that it gives you, not calories, but what it does to your soul, your spirit, your mind, your body, and how you can feel by having good nutrition. So I've never been along the dietetic pathway. I've trained at university as a nutritionist, as a herbalist, as a naturopath, as a nurse through uni. I did not do dietetics, and there's a reason why I chose not to. I did not believe that ticking boxes to say this many calories in, minus your output is the whole equation. I knew that food could be people's medicine. And in fact, dietitians, the way they approach things is very much like calories in, calories out. That philosophy has created 300 new diabetics every day in this small little country called Australia. One person every 5 minutes following that strategy has ended up with diabetes. It's appalling. The other thing that doesn't work, and I can tell you I was offered this after one of my children when I gained some weight, is stimulants. So the precipice behind stimulants is, hey, your metabolism slow down. Let's make you burn more calories. Let's up your metabolism. But what it does is it's like taking speed. It just pushes your body. And majority of women who come to me are actually burnt out. So pushing them even more does not make sense. And in fact, it has the opposite paradoxical effect of slowing down their metabolism. Duramine is one of those stimulants. A lot of people might have pre-workers with caffeine in it or guarana, but to me, and I've seen it, this is not the way forward. I do want to address the white elephant in the room, and that's these injectable weight loss drugs. They have been available in Australia for about the last 6 years for diabetics, type 2 diabetics who were struggling to lose weight. Now people are having them if they've got a party coming up in 3 months and they want to go from their size 12 down to their size 10 dress. So they're jabbing themselves. These drugs have such heavy adverse profiles, like side effects and adverse events that are not being discussed, and they really need to be. This is taken from the TGA website, which you are welcome to go and do at any point in time. It's the TGA Therapeutic Goods Administration. you go to their homepage. It's a site that monitors drug and drug impacts, notifications, adverse reactions in Australia. Grossly underreported because the reporting system is very laborious, to be mildly nice. It's about 100 pages of documentation you've got to fill in if you think someone might have had an issue with a drug. But it's a very conservative reporting system. This was 2 weeks ago in Australia, so that was in June 2026. There had already been 26 deaths from Ozempic. Let that sink in. And that's about 5% of, this is only about 5% of all the things that are happening out there because the reporting system is prohibitive. It's time prohibitive. Mounjaro, the same. Everyone thinks Mounjaro is a safer option. Is it? It's only been in Australia for 2 years now, and there's already 7 deaths from it. Things like pancreatitis, cancer, hearing, hair loss, blindness. We know there are a lot of problems with these drugs. But I understand a lot of people have come to me and they said, Sam, I didn't know what else to do. I was desperate. I just needed to get some runs on the board. And I totally appreciate that. There's also this other scary moment when you start these things. What happens when you stop them? Does the weight go back on? Do your cravings come back? Does your metabolism crash and burn? And it appears, unfortunately, that you go back to the state you're in beforehand if you haven't made changes along the way. So this isn't a fix-it-all. This isn't the miracle cure. This just enables reduction in your appetite. And there are plenty of natural things that do that. Please hit me up. There are plenty of herbs that do that and other supplements that do that, that make you feel full, that reduce your appetite. And that's all these drugs do. They work on GLP-1 receptor sites in your tummy that tell the brain that you're full. So you eat less effectively. Another very popular weight loss strategy in Australia is surgery. The one on the left, the first one, the sleeve gastro sleeve, is the most common at the moment, covered under Medicare. And what happens there is they slide out or slice out 2/3 of your stomach. They take that out, they throw it away. It's not kept in case you change your mind, it's gone. So you end up with 1/3 of your gut and they zip it up. So that's why that's called a sleeve. The whole idea, once again, reducing the capacity for you to absorb calories, reducing your capacity to absorb nutrients, reducing the joy of food. But because, yeah, sure, you feel a bit fuller because, the wall stretches a little bit, which tells the brain through another hormone, leptin, that you're full, you might eat less. But malnutrition is rife with people with sleeves. And it is a one-way stop. You can't change your mind and they go and pull it out of the bin. It's gone. But there is another way, and I want you to know that you might have considered all of these things. You might have tried many of these things. You might have tried surgery and still feel that the voices in your head are driving you to sugar cravings or lollies and things. But there is another way, and instead of fighting it, I'd invite you to embrace it and find out what's going on underneath. Because once you understand that, what's driving your cravings, why your brown fat's not doing what it should be doing, which is activating white fat, why your energy levels are flat, why you can't work. And, some people work incredible hours and yet they still gain weight even though they're not eating that many calories. So I think if we start diving a bit deeper, understanding what's potentially happening in your body, you're going to feel much better. For one, there's a reason why this is happening to you. And two, I want to give you some ideas about how you can manage it. I want you to, these are 3 things that I just think are essential if you want to have a healthy, normal weight. You have to be in love with food. Now, many weight loss strategies make you hate food, make you doubt it, make you skeptical that it's safe. And you might only have to do 2 or 3 of these diets over your lifetime. And next thing, food becomes a villain. Food's the reason you got fat. Food's the reason you got cravings. Food takes too long. And so the ticket out of there is to actually fall in love with food. But so many people start hating it. And it's a bit like saying, hey, Sam, I want to be rich. I want to be mega rich, but I hate money. So well, it's just not going to work. If you want to be a normal weight and a sustainable weight without dieting and all the joy that goes with food, then you need to fall in love with food again. And I'll show you how, because it's almost been used probably as a weapon tool against you. I understand that. There's many ways and different things that people are trying: intermittent fasting, carnivore, keto, veggie, zone, blood group diet. There are so many different ways to tackle food. At the end of the day, I would love it if you just fell in love with food generally. And if we could help you, if I can help you find out which foods your body thrives with, you never ever feel like you're dieting again. You actually just have this beautiful love affair with food, which is how it should be. Here's a couple of other little tips to get you started in the meantime. Now, overeating is rampant, particularly if you're not sitting down, consuming food over 30 minutes, which enables all those hormones to go to the brain and say, how I'm full. If you're eating on the run, or you're eating when the kids are screaming, or you're eating, very quickly, not just woofing it down, chances are you're not getting all the natural things kicking in. And overeating is a real problem. This is really interesting, this psychological conundrum people have. We start looking at the aesthetics of how food's served. So a little pizza on a big plate looks incredible at a restaurant or on Instagram. But what it does when we do this sort of stuff at home is we feel underfull. We feel like that's not going to fill us up. So we overeat. Same pizza. I know I could have come up with something better, but same pizza, small plate. Guess what? When your brain looks at that, it goes, oh, that's quite filling. I don't need any more. And it naturally will pull up before overeating. So one thing you can start doing today is eating off smaller plates, even using smaller knives and forks makes a big difference. And you can reduce up to 20 to 30% of what you eat just by changing the size of the plates that you eat off. Interesting, isn't it? Let me know in the chat if you're finding this interesting. Blood sugar problems. Now, I do a deeper dive with this because this is a really big conversation piece that people need to understand. When we eat carbohydrates, there's only three food groups, by the way. There's fats, proteins, and carbs. Carbs are very much like sugars, and when we eat them, they go into our bloodstream. We get a corresponding rise in blood sugar, and at that point, we secrete insulin. Now, if we spike our insulin, our body is tempted to switch on fat making. That's called lipogenesis, and it does it as a life-saving measure. So it gathers all the sugar that's hanging around and stores it as fat. Rather than letting that high blood sugar level go through our bloodstream, it goes, right, better to store this as fat. So a really big issue people don't realize they're doing to themselves is eating lots of carbohydrates. And it could be healthy, it could be rice, could be fruit and veggies, could be juices, but they swing their blood sugars up, they make fat, and then interesting, about 15, 20 minutes later, they get a drop in blood sugar. And when that happens, they slow their metabolism down. Their body starts craving more sugar-rich foods. So they can end up on this, like the red line, a real swing. Now, the quickest way around this, and you can stop this today dead in its tracks, is to add more protein. So protein are things like your meats, animals, things that have swum in the ocean, fleshy stuff. And if you're vegetarian, then you've got to really pick up tofu, seeds, legumes, pulses to get that protein quota up. And then you can plateau out like the green line, so you're not getting these blood sugar swings. It can be a game changer for people. And just this one action alone can see you lose kilograms because you're not swinging your blood sugar anymore. Detox pathways are really important. I'm not going to go too much into it, but understand that if you feel you've tried everything else, maybe what's letting you down is your lymphatics could be blocked. That happens in the presence of allergy, in the presence of many things. If you're not drinking enough water, if your bowels aren't flushing properly. So this was actually a photo I took a couple of weeks ago. I was in Thailand doing a detox. We have to help our detox pathways. The second pillar that I'm really adamant about is our body was designed to move. However, when it comes to sustainable weight loss, we don't want to punish ourselves. We want to find something that lands in between a little bit of energy and stress on our body to moving calories in the cardio state, that's when our body is utilizing fat as a fuel source. And sure, for bone strength and other things, pushing heavy weights or squatting, leaning up, reaching up high, gardening, those sorts of things are really important for our muscles and bone strength. But we've got to find something that's right for you. Now, if you're going through your 40s and premenopause or perimenopause, you're going through it, potentially one of the worst activities you can do is boot camp and heavy weights because that puts a lot of stress on the body. You're going to change your cortisol levels again, and it might throw you backwards rather than forwards. So you might find that things that are sustainable, like walking every day, yoga, stretching, Pilates, dancing, I play pickleball, I swim, things that are maybe not what you thought were necessary to lose weight, but are sustainable and reward your body, not punish it. Really important point. Now, the third angle you might not have thought about is your hormones. This is really a speciality of mine, and I'm just going to share with you some saliva tests just to show you what happens to many people. And if you think this is happening with you, we can go on and do further testing because it is a game changer. I'll say from the outset, I only use saliva testing. Blood testing often doesn't deliver the result. Like the way hormones are in our bloodstream, they bind to serum hormone binding globulin. That component gets discarded when it's centrifuged, when they take the blood sample. So you're always dealing with arbitrary numbers. We want to know exactly what's happening in your body, and saliva is the best way to do it. It's not covered by Medicare or other government initiatives around the world, so people balk at it. But when you do it, you just go, oh my God, here's the reason why. Now you can see here cortisol. First one that we look at here. Cortisol should be about, on this particular measurement, about 24 on waking. This person was 63.5. They're waking up with high cortisol. Before they even get their feet on the floor, their body was in a stress state. And when we've got high cortisol, it will command our body to push up insulin. When you've got both of those hormones elevated, you are making fat. Forget burning fat, you are making fat. And it usually goes around the belly. So high cortisol, in the presence of high cortisol, I think it's impossible to lose weight. So this data, I mean, ask how valuable would this data be for you specifically? This person also, you can just see their estradiol is high. Estrogen also, we make three different estrogens as women, guys make two, also stops weight loss. Now, cortisol is often an issue. Now, I've been doing cortisol levels over the day for the last year or so because it's giving me a lot of information, including the people about their body and the massive discongruence with how people think they're going and what's really happening. So first thing in the morning, you can see this person. I asked them, I said, how do you feel? Do you feel anxious, stressed? No, 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 I've got a great life. I feel like everything's in blah, blah, blah. They felt good. Then I did their cortisol levels. And I'm like, crikey, well, should only be 24, you're 88. That's nearly 400% higher than it should be. They're like, oh, right. Maybe that's why I get jittery and anxious. I'm like, yes. So people might not call it stress. They might not call it belly fat. They might have other labels that they associate with these feelings, but still be quite naive and unaware of what's happening internally. Now, this person, their cortisol was way out of range the whole time. Now, high cortisol at night, you won't sleep. There's no way knowing you can sleep with high cortisol because it works in tandem with melatonin. In the afternoon, well, this person never would have been able to lose weight because their cortisol's high the whole day, notwithstanding that they're also telling their liver to make cholesterol, and cortisol is quite inflammatory causing. It's a great hormone when it's in balance, but a bit of a problem when it's not. Now, younger women may have a problem with high testosterone. Actually, this person had everything, high cortisol, so they're not going to lose weight. That's driving inflammation in their body and insulin problems like we talked about before. Their testosterone is also high. Now, I look for absolute nuances. It should be only 100 testosterone in women. Theirs was 132. They will not lose weight with high testosterone. High estrogen, again, and high estrogen is a real problem because it tells our reproductive tissue as women to grow. So breast cancer, uterine cells, ovary cells, vaginal cells, it's a major problem, and particularly if the progesterone's low, because it tends to keep it in check. just a couple more high estrogen. Again, this person had really low testosterone, so they were quite burnt out. And you can see the DHEA is also very low. So this person was burnt out, but also unable to lose weight. When you're burnt out, the adrenals might not be sparking, and what will happen is often your thyroid will become underactive. Now, see if I can play this. This is Michelle, who came and saw me a few years ago. Just turn the volume up.
And I realised then that I need to make some changes. My husband called it the glass half empty girl instead of the glass half full girl being married. And besides the one thing, the extra weight I was carrying. I'm down the track, feeling good, made some changes, then not having to make the choices and continuing to improve. And I now feel like the person that I thought I was, buried down deep inside of that ugly person some time ago. So continuing to improve, feeling great, and staying on top of everything.
So yeah, Michelle's a doll. I'm very lucky, the people who come to me, I try and make it easy. Like I don't ask people to do anything I don't believe is achievable for them, because there's no point. Like at the end of the day, with all my expertise, I've got to find the tools in my kit. Like I'm a professional, and there are so many ways we can manage this, and it's my job to find the thing that's going to work for you, or motivate you, or whatever else might be required. Oops, sorry, we'll just get rid of that. Oops, again.
Conversation. After a conversation.
Just bear with me. There we go. Marie's another lady who came and saw me after a talk I gave in Brisbane a few years ago. And this is the difference in 6 weeks. But imagine what you could achieve in 8 weeks. I don't believe in false promises. I don't believe in setting people up for failure. But just entertain how much different your life could be if you did what Marie did. Her on the left and a little bit later on the right. And it's really not that hard once you have the blueprint and the right mindset and support, you can do these things. So, just imagine 2 months' time from now, 8 weeks from now, waking up feeling lighter, flatter tummy, even just because the bloat's gone. Weight might be starting to shift. Clothes might be feeling looser. Confidence is coming back and just feeling proud again, like going to a barbecue and just feeling like, you want to step back and pull your shoulders back and go, yeah, I'm here. I'm seen. I'm being listened to. I'm being looked at. We all just want to be seen and admired, really. Now, this was, I won't play all of this, but this is another TV interview, and I just want to play sections of it just to, I guess, reiterate the big problem that hormones have around our weight. I'll just bring it up here a little bit.
Keeping off the kilos. Yeah, nutritionist and author Sam Patrick says high testosterone, estrogen, and cortisol levels can sabotage any weight loss plans that you might have in mind. And Sam's back with us again this morning. Great to see you, Sam. So, explain to us the link again between hormone levels and weight loss.
Yeah, so hormones are things that both sexes make, and they're like our internal postal service. They take messages from one part of your body to another. Now, if we're confusing our body because we're stressed, when we're meant to be relaxing, going to bed, say at night, those hormones are still working really hard, and a lot of them will alter our resting hormone levels, and that leads to weight gain in so many instances.
Okay, so that's just to give you an idea of the impact that the negative impact hormones can have on your body. The full interview is there on my website. Let's just see if I can do this a little bit more seamlessly than I have been doing.
Yeah, particularly stress.
Sorry. Taku's another lady who came and saw me a few years ago. I just want to share with you that, I don't make this stuff up. I've been helping women for over 25 years in my clinic with these problems, and we make it simple because most who come to me have tried it. I mean, they don't just wake up and go, I better go and see Sambo Patrick. It's the first time I've ever tried it. People come to me and they've tried a multitude of things. They're often quite desperate. They think that nothing's going to work for them. They might try something for a week or two and just get exacerbated by it or exacerbated. So let's just see what Taku's got to say.
Hi, my name is Taku. 6 weeks ago, I came to one of Sam's workshops. Everything that I learned in her workshop, I've applied it to my own life. And all I can say is that my life is absolutely magical now. I have so much energy. I'm so alive and so.
This is in 6 weeks.
I cannot express how grateful I am to Sam for everything that she's done for me in just 6 short weeks. Thank you so much.
And Taku's not on her own. And this is the thing. I want you to understand that whatever you embark upon, I'm really keen to get momentum going because I know what it's like. And to get that, just those initial runs on the board makes you feel like you can do, oops, hang on, we'll try that again. Sorry.
In her workshop.
Right, so let's go back. So what I did want to share was my 8-week program, which is what a lot of these women have tried, and it's really simple. I just want to break it down for you. So inviting you to consider this as a way forward for you. It's 8 weeks of eating plans, education, support, and it's really simple. You've got access to me through social media, so I only can take on and support a limited number of women each week. But the idea is we work together over 8 weeks. Now, the first part to it are eating plans. Now, I know anybody can go down to a news agency and get any female trashy mag, and there's going to be a new diet in there. If it was just about dieting, we would have conquered it by now. These eating plans balance hormones, they reduce inflammation, they're not hard to do, they're a fallback. They're not necessarily have to be followed to the letter, but there's some of the eating plans. The feedback from this, though, is that it's easy if you've got a family, it's easy if you're tired or you live on your own because there's leftovers incorporated with it. And look, I was a single mum with 3 kids, and these are the eating patterns that we used to have. So you've got the recipes, the eating plans, if you choose to use them. With that, there's also weekly emails, motivational tips. They go for about a minute each, and there's about 4 each week, just to keep that momentum for you moving forward. Now, the second component to it is the education and support. I call it the Happy Female Formula. This is a culmination of all the hormone tips, nutritional tips I know, easy to do modules that you can take yourself through online at your own pace. And once you start building on that foundational education, you just find you start making better decisions. And today I'm including a bonus. And as I said, I can only support a handful of people with this each week. So I'm quite busy, but this actually is the icing on the cake. It's probably not a good analogy, is it? This is probably the pumpkin seeds on the salad. A 30-minute strategy call with me. So we do a full consultation for 30 minutes. That's normally $250. In there, we can talk about what supplements you're taking. If you think you've got some metabolism issues, we can address that. If you've had some tests, we can look at those. If you haven't had tests, we can discuss what might be necessary for you to get to the next step. Or we might just say, look, let's just try this for 4 weeks and see how you go. So what you get are the eating plans, the Happy Female Formula, a strategy call for me. Now, the total value of that is $944. But today, it's less than a consultation with me. It's $197. Now, that's Australian dollars. And if you want to copy that link, and I'll put it in chat so you can click on it, or use the QR with your phone right now, action it straight away, because it will cap out. I can't take on too many people each week because of the 30-minute consultation. And I want to make sure that you are successful with this. So use that QR scanner, go through now, purchase it. It's in Australian dollars. And what will happen is you'll go to the purchase page, purchase it. Then I will personally send you an email saying, hey, nice to meet you. I'll send you my booking schedule, my calendar, so we can find a time. And then we start working together. I'll be able to support you with what you need to do the changes. So even, if you don't need the eating plans, that's fine. This is cheaper than seeing me through my normal book. So jump on that now. I really want to help people with this phenomena. I've got a professional commitment to help reduce obesity, not just in Australia, but globally. And I know how to do it. I've been helping people and thousands of people now with this safely without using drugs. And even if you're using drugs, let's get you some runs on the board so it's sustainable and you start feeling like your life's moving forward. Thank you so much for listening. And if you've got any questions, just reply to the email that came out, or just don't miss this. I just don't want you to miss out. Okay, thank you so much.